Welcome to Firewall Analyzer Free Training Part 1. Hey everyone, I'm Vikram, subject matter expert in enterprise security management with over 4 years of experience in product marketing. And I'll be your presenter for today. Let us jump straight away into the agenda for the day. First, we'll be looking at a typical network infrastructure and why firewalls play a critical role in network security. Second, we'll look at a more important question in hand, that is, why should a security admin use Firewall Analyzer? And from here on, we'll be looking at how to fetch the firewall rules and configurations from your firewall device to Firewall Analyzer. And once that is done, we'll also have a look at the rule management capabilities of Firewall Analyzer, followed by its configuration monitoring and backup capabilities. And finally, we'll be looking at its compliance report and audit report capabilities. So as discussed before, let us take an example of a typical network infrastructure. So which usually consists of a router, a wide area network, and a local area network. In addition to that, we have multiple endpoint devices, which connects to the WAN and LAN, and also various types of on-premise servers, including the Active Directory server, which manages permissions and access to network resources. And last but not the least, the gatekeeper to all of these network devices, which is the firewall. Hackers generally can attack any one of these devices to get into the network, and ManageEngine products have the capability to monitor and report on all of these network devices. However, today we'll be specifically looking at firewalls. Why firewall devices? Because firewall is the heart of security in any enterprise network. And once a hacker gets into this heart, he or she will have unlimited access to your entire network. Let us look at a more pertinent question in hand. That is, what are the major reasons for a firewall device to be at risk and why Firewall Analyzer? Gartner predicts that around 99% of the exploited vulnerabilities will continue to be the ones that are known by security and IT professionals for at least 1 year. So firewall misconfiguration and specifically the known misconfigurations are the leading issues, and fixing these will help you to majorly avoid all of these vulnerabilities to be exploited. With hackers working around the clock to breach networks, it's essential to ensure that your network rules, that is your firewall rules, are spot on. Outdated firewall rules can be easily exploited by the hackers to get into your network. And for this purpose, firewall rules need to be regularly audited and optimized. And then you have the security admins who are in a constant state of tug of war with the hackers. And to win this war, what the network admins are doing is they are installing new security devices. However, hackers, on the other hand, are always inventing new ways to get around these systems. But merely installing new devices, new security devices, is of no use. And let's simply not stop with monitoring, but also in implementing a monitoring combined with a quick remediation solution, which is the key to win this tug of war against the hackers. And finally, regulatory mandates. These not only ensure regulatory compliance, but also will help in covering common security loopholes. Using Firewall Analyzer, a policy management and configuration reporting software which helps in managing and optimizing the firewall rules, which is its rule management module, and it helps in identifying excuse me, and it helps in identifying who made what changes and when and where. Not only this, it also helps in taking a configuration backup in case of a network disaster. And then we have the log analysis module, which helps you to keep track of security and traffic by providing detailed traffic and security related reports by using the logs. And then you have the alarm management module, which helps in notifying attacks and bandwidth anomalies as and when they happen. And finally, we have the compliance management, which is identifying firewall misconfigurations and checking the compliance with leading mandates across the globe. So now that you got a brief on the capabilities of Firewall Analyzer, let us jump straight in on how to fetch the rules and configuration from your firewall device to Firewall Analyzer. So step 1 is to configure your firewall devices to generate syslogs at UDP port 15. This would act as the listener port for Firewall Analyzer. And once you do this, you can perform log analysis and alarm management in the firewall analyzer. So step 2 is to, once you receive the syslogs, you'll go to step 2, which is to receive the syslogs from the firewall device to firewall analyzer, where credential profile can be set for the specific firewall device in the firewall analyzer tool. So once you do this, you get access to inventory reports. That is specific reports for each individual firewall device that has been added to firewall analyzer for monitoring. So step 1 and 2 will be covered in detail in the next session, which is scheduled on 22nd of August. So in today's session, we'll be discussing the third step in detail, which is once you set the credentials for your firewall analyzer, you have to now fetch for your firewall devices. You have to now fetch the rules and configuration from your firewall device and to the device rule. So once you get this, you get access to rule management reports, you get access to the configuration monitoring and backup reports, and you also can access the compliance management features of Firewall Analyzer. We can fetch the rules and configurations by two methods. So number one is displayed on the screen, which helps you to directly fetch the rules and configurations from your firewall device by using the CLI or API protocol. The second way is to add the device to the device rules is by directly uploading the rules and configuration file, which we'll be discussing in the next slide. So here in the first slide, you can see an example. This slide, the first method of adding your firewall device to Firewall Analyzer. You can see that on the screen, there is a sample screenshot of how to add the device info. So given on the left is the CLI of a firewall device. So here we have taken an example of a Cisco device. And on the right is the product UI. So these are the informations that are needed to perform this step. So let me quickly take you to the product to show this to you in working. All right, so to access this feature, you'll have to go to settings, go to firewall server, click on credentials, and over here you can see that there have already been multiple devices that are added successfully. So to add one more device, we'll have to go to add, and you have to choose the device from the device list and choose the fetch option. It can be CLI or API. For Cisco, we support CLI. And in case you have the credentials already configured, that will be present over here. If not, you can configure it over here or under the credential profile section. So once you're done with that, you'll have to enter the syslog related information, including the protocol, your firewall's IP, login name, password, prompt, enable command, and everything else that is present on the screen. So once you're done with that, Firewall Analyzer will check the validity of the credentials. And once that is validated, you can see that it gets successfully added to the list of device rules. All right, so moving on to the next step. So the second way to add device is by using the device rules, which is directly uploading the rule file and the configuration file of your firewall device. So to do this, you'll have to create the rule file and the configuration file manually, which is nothing but a text file with each rule listed in a single line in the respective order, and each rule needs to be separated by a comma. And likewise, you also have to prepare another file for configuration. So once you have these two files, you can import these two files into Firewall Analyzer and add the device to the device rule. So this feature works by adding either one of these files as well. So let me take you to the product to show that to you in working. All right, so to add using the file option, you'll have to choose file option over here. And here under the question mark, you can see the format in which this file needs to be created. So for the purpose of demonstration, I've already created a configuration file. Let me choose that from my browser. I'm going to hit import. And here Firewall Analyzer is checking the authenticity of the file. And once that is done, you can see that it gets automatically added over here and it displays the status of this new firewall device. All right, so moving on to the next slide. So in addition to the two methods of adding firewall device to device rule, we also have a third method, which is manual device addition. So this is a recently introduced method. And by using this method of device addition, you do not require any syslogs to be forwarded from your firewall device to Firewall Analyzer at all. And you also simultaneously do not need any rule file or configuration file to be uploaded. So this method works by directly adding the Firewall Analyzer, firewall device to Firewall Analyzer by simply using the IP address and the device name in addition to the vendor name. So let me take you to the product to show this to you in working. So to access this feature, you go to settings, go to discovery, and click add firewall. So once you do that, you go to the add firewall manually option without syslog. So over here, you have to choose the vendor, to enter the IP address and enter the device name. And in case you wish to monitor the rule management and compliance report as well, you will have to check this option and input the required information, which is nothing but the syslogs that is required to perform this function. So in case this is not needed, you can uncheck this also. All right, so once you fetch the rules and configurations from the firewall, you get access to 3 reports. So the first report is the rule management report, followed by the configuration management report, and finally the compliance audit reports. So to go through all of these features, let me put through a scenario. That is, let's assume that we have an imaginary network security admin, Jim, who has joined a company. And in this company, there have been a lot of network security issues. And as a preliminary task, Jim has been asked to do the following things. That is, number 1, he's been asked to optimize the firewall policies and rules. And number 2, he's been asked to monitor the changes that are made to the firewall configuration and also to schedule configuration backups. And finally, he's been asked to submit a detailed compliance and security audit report. So let us look at what are the challenges faced by Jim and how he overcomes these challenges with the help of Firewall Analyzer. All right, so let's look at the first task in hand for Jim. So the first task would be to optimize the firewall's performance, firewall's policies. So to do this, Jim is facing the following challenges. That is, first, Jim is new to the company, which means he does not have the visibility to all of the rules that are present. And next, the company is pretty old, meaning there are more than 1,000 rules for Jim to review. And he also has to review each rule manually and has no direct visibility into the existing rules. Since it's an old company and rules have not been reviewed from day one, there are a lot of duplicate and unused rules. And also, more than one security admin has written these rules, and hence these rules are highly unoptimized. Not only this, as I mentioned earlier, the company has more than 1,000 rules, and hence any new rule that Jim plans to add might impact the existing rule set negatively. Finally, last but not the least, there are around 5 firewall devices in Jim's company, and every time he needs to write a new rule, he is forced to analyze the impact of making the change, and he's been doing this manually. So these are the challenges that are faced by Jim. Now let us look at how Firewall Analyzer's rule management module can help Jim optimize the firewall rules. So under the rule management module, we're going to first look at the policy overview report, which gives you the visibility to all the rules that are written on the firewall. So you can filter the rules according to the allowed or denied rules, inbound or outbound rules, inactive rules, logging disabled rules, and also any-to-any overly permissive rules. In addition to this, you can always download and analyze the list of rules that are present in any or all of the firewall devices. So with this, Jim is now able to get visibility into the complete list of rules in the firewall. So let us look at how this looks like in the product UI. So for that, I'm taking you back to the product, and you go to rule management, and over here, and when you look at the policy optimization, when you look at the overview report, here you get to choose which option, which firewall device for which you want to generate this data. So under rule management, under overview, here I'm going to choose my 40 device. And once you come to the screen after choosing the firewall device, you get to see all the rules that are listed. And to view them in detail, simply click on total rules. And here you get a detailed information of all the rules that are present on your firewall. So given this is the case, Jim now gets clear visibility into the existing rule set. And given that Jim is new, this is extremely important to him. And even if Jim is not new, it is extremely important for any network security admin to have visibility into the rules that are present on any specific firewall. All right, so moving on with the presentation. So now that Jim has solved the visibility issue, he now has to address the second issue, which is, as mentioned before, The rules have been written by multiple security admins and they have not been reviewed for a very long period of time. Because of this, there are a lot of anomalous rules and also overly permissive rules which affect the performance of the firewall. With Firewall Analyzer, you can rectify the anomalies in the firewall policies, reduce overly permissive rules, and also fine-tune your existing rules. So let us quickly jump to the policy optimization report, which is the second feature of rule management, and take a look at it from the product UI. So switching over to the UI. And for this demonstration, I'm going to use my FortiGate device. All right, so once again, under rule management, you go to optimization. Right, so under optimization, you can clearly see the various policy anomalies listed over here. And you can also see the various rule suggestions, policy fine-tuning. So to show that to you, we have rule suggestions, policy fine-tuning, we have object usage related details, and then you also have duplicate objects. So all of these information are present under the optimization report. So we'll slowly be going through each and every one of these features. All right, so next we're going to look at the classification of anomalies. Firewall Analyzer by default identifies the following rule anomalies, that is shadow, redundancy, generalization, correlation, and grouping. So in this slide, we have given a detailed example of all the anomalies that are detected by Firewall Analyzer. So we'll be sharing this presentation with you once this training is over. And over there, you can go through the list of anomalies as well. So now let us look at how we can optimize using Firewall Analyzer from the product UI. So taking you back to the product, and over here, let me choose a different firewall device. All right. So for the same firewall device that I've chosen now, you can see that there are a couple of redundant rules, there are a couple of correlation rules. So if you click on them, you get to understand what is the rule that is redundant and with which rule it is redundant. So for that, simply click on that and you'll get the redundant information. So likewise, you get detailed information for every anomaly that is detected and present in this report. Here you get to see the same for correlation. So likewise, this is available for all the anomalies that are detected by Firewall Analyzer. So that is policy anomaly. Next, we're going to look at rule suggestion. For that, let me quickly swap my firewall device. All right. So for rule suggestion, so with this rule suggestion, once again, if you hit generate for this particular firewall, you will get a list of all the overly permissive rules which are connected to the overly permissive source or destination. So here I have an example. Let me open that up for you. So with this, once again, you can clearly identify what are the rules that are overly permissive. So overly permissive rules is generally a big issue because if you have too many overly permissive rules, it will be an easier way for the attackers to get into the network. And Firewall Analyzer easily identifies the overly permissive rules and lists it out over here. Right. So next we're going to look at the policy fine-tuning option. Right. So here I have the option to choose the firewall device once again, and I can select the time period. I'm going to set it for the last 30 days. So here you can choose any specific rule under policy fine-tuning. So I'm going to choose a random rule name. All right. So once you hit fine-tune, you will get a recommendation from Firewall Analyzer on how that rule is affecting the existing rule set and how it can be optimized. So you get that from the rule policy fine-tuning option. And then we have the duplicate objects. So this option displays the list of object names that are associated with multiple rules. So duplicate object report helps to find the network or service objects having the same set of IP addresses or services but different object names. So with this duplicate objects, you can identify which are the duplicate objects that are slowing down your firewall device, and this report can quickly help you to identify and fix them in a better manner. So finally, we're going to look at the object usage. So this is a comparatively newer report. So with this report, you get an overview of the network and service objects. So to do that, simply you have to choose your firewall device and generate. And here I have a sample for you. All right. So here you can get a list of the network and service objects that have been used by firewall based on the syslogs that are received for a period of time. Get that over here. All right. So next we're going to look at the next feature of rule management, which is rule reorder. So with multiple security admins writing rules, the rules are not optimally arranged. For example, let's say that a new rule was written recently, and this takes the position number of 500. But this is a rule which has a lot of hits. In other words, it's a frequently used rule. So every time the firewall processor has to go through to trigger this rule, it has to go through all the other 499 rules to get to this rule. So this eventually takes a hit on firewall's processing speed. Firewall Analyzer provides a rule reorder report which helps you to solve this problem. So let me quickly take you to the product to show that to you in working. So for this, under rule management, you go to the reorder report. All right, so for this purpose, I'm going to choose a different firewall. All right. So what you see here on the screen are for the specific firewall device, this FortiGate device. So if you look at it, there are a couple of suggestions provided by Firewall Analyzer. So what this basically means that if you move this rule number 2, from its current position of number 2 to number 1, which has around 3 hit count, there is a 100% chance of improvement in performance. So that is what this means. And here you can see the suggested changes, and here you can see the completed changes that are done on the firewall. So with this, you get a clear understanding of where your rule need to be positioned to get the maximum out of your firewall device. So having received these suggestions from both the policy optimization report and reorder report, Jim can take further analysis and repercussions of these changes by using another feature, which is rule impact analysis. And after this, he can also push these changes directly from the Firewall Analyzer tool using the rule administration feature. So these are two features which I'll be discussing in the forthcoming slides. All right, so moving on. So next, we're going to look at another feature of rule management, which is the rule cleanup report. So as I explained, Jim's company is an old company, and there is a possibility that there are a lot of rules which are not used. And since it is out of place, the same rules can be used to breach the network. With Firewall Analyzer's rule cleanup report, you get a detailed list of all the unused rules, unused objects, unassigned interface, and also unassigned objects. It is recommended that you first deactivate these rules for a short period of time, and once you find that there is no impact in the network, you can go ahead and remove them. So this instruction is only for when you want to remove a rule. So removing the rules that are not in use will help you to keep your network safer, and also will aid in increasing the processing speed of your firewall. So let me take you to the product to show you this rule cleanup in detail. So under rule management, you go to rule cleanup. All right, so here you can see a list of all the unused rules. So once again, as explained, if there are any rule that are outdated and as a result it is not in use, hackers can bounce on them and get into the network. So with the help of cleanup report, you can clearly understand the unassigned interfaces, the unassigned objects, and you can also take a look at the unused objects. So to view this, let me quickly change my configuration. Let me set it to the date on which I've configured this value. All right, give this few seconds. So here you'll get the list of unused objects that are associated with this particular firewall. So if you find that there is any rule or unassigned interface or unassigned objects or unused objects, it's better that you deactivate them and check after checking their impact on the existing rule set. And if you find that they are not impacting the rule set in any way at all, you can simply go ahead and delete these rules. All right, let's give this a few seconds. All right, so here you can see the unused objects. So this is present in both the count view option, and another view, that is the full view, is also present for the unused objects. So you get both of these details, unused rules and objects, in Firewall Analyzer by using the cleanup report. So next we're going to look at rule impact analysis, which I've given you a glimpse of in the previous slides. So this is yet another feature of rule management. So why do we need the impact analysis reports? So before you add any rule, it is very difficult to know the impact it can have on your entire and existing rule set. Firewall rules are not typically independent from one another. In fact, most rules have a direct impact on a set of another rules. So given this case, you must take utmost caution before adding a new rule in this firewall device, because the simplest error can trigger a massive security loophole that either allows malicious traffic to sneak in or block legitimate traffic and disrupt normal business. With the firewall analysis rule impact analysis, you can easily determine if the proposed new rule is going to impact the existing rule set negatively. The rule impact feature does the following, that is, it checks the proposed new rule against the existing rule base for anomalies. It suggests an optimal rule reorder by analyzing the proposed new rule for rule complexities and anomalies. It helps in identifying any overly permissive destination interfaces for the proposed new rule. It detects and reports on service, application, and interface level threats. It singles out blacklisted IP addresses that are mistakenly used in your newly proposed rule. And it also provides a risk assessment of relevant service, application, and interface ports. And finally, you get object repetitiveness in a rule listed out as well. So let me take you to the product to show this to you in working. So under rule management, you go to impact or select it from the option over here. All right. So let's say that you want to add a new rule without applying it to your firewall. So all you have to do is click impact analysis and fill in all of these information. And if you have any of the blacklisted IP addresses that has to be taken into consideration when you're creating a new rule, you can add that, you can create, put it in a file and upload that over here as well. So once you're done with that, simply hit generate report and you will get a result something like this. So let me take you to an example. Right. So the first thing that you get is the anomaly details in your impact report. So this is nothing but if you have any redundancy in your rule base, that will be detected and displayed over here. And then you have the rule reorder suggestions. So this is a recommendation that is provided by Firewall Analyzer, which tells you when you move the rule from its existing position to a new position and the amount of improvement in performance that you get as a result. And then you have the overly permissive rule info. So here it tells you if there are any overly permissive rules that are detected in your new rule set. And here you get details of the service or application level security threats, followed by interface level security threats as well. And after that, if you have any blacklisted IPs that have been mistakenly used in your new rule set, it will be shown over here. And finally, you get a risky port info, that is, you get a risk assessment for the service or application level ports. And you also get the same on the interface level ports. So finally, after the risky port info, you have the object repetitiveness in a rule, which is the last point. So here you get a list of the objects which are repetitive with respect to both the service object and also the source object. So you get all of that information in the impact analysis report. So before you even write a specific rule, you get the detailed analysis of how this rule will impact your firewall. And with this impact analysis feature, Jim can clearly identify the negative interaction even before a particular new rule set is made live. So next we have the rule administration feature of rule management. So this rule administration feature allows Firewall Analyzer to directly push changes to your firewall device. So this feature offers 4 major functions, that is to add, modify, and delete network and service objects, add, modify, and delete the firewall rules, and it helps to analyze the implications of a change, that is the impact analysis. We have an overlap of that feature over here. And we also finally have the ability to push these changes from the Firewall Analyzer tool to your firewall device. So let us look at how this feature looks like in the product UI. So for that, under rule management, you go to rule administration. And for the sake of demonstration, I've configured data for the FortiGate firewall device. So in case you want to perform this function for a different firewall device, you can very well choose that from the list of firewall devices that has been added to your Firewall Analyzer tool. So here you have 3 different tabs where the changes we intend to make are recorded. That is nothing but the network objects, then you have the service objects, then you have the security rules. So under this firewall objects, this represent the existing rules and objects in the selected firewall device. That is the ones that have been fetched while adding the device rule. So here, the local objects, this represent the changes that you want to make in a specific firewall device. And the changes that you are allowed to make includes adding a network service object or a security rule. You can edit an existing network object, service object, or a security rule, and you can even delete an existing network object, service object, or a security rule. So let me give you an example. So for this, let me edit a network object, firewall object. So let me quickly take you to an example. Let me simply add the address description and choose interface. So once I'm done with that, you can see that when I click on add, it doesn't mean that the rule has been directly pushed to the firewall. So obviously there are multiple steps before we push a firewall rule to the firewall device. And this very same step applies to the network objects, service objects, and security rule. So once you make a change, the change will automatically come to the local objects for your review. So this is the change that I had made. I introduced an address description. So that comes over here. And here you can see the impact that a particular new change will have before it is even considered to be pushed to the firewall. So now that we have edited the network object, let us look at the steps that needs to be followed to push this newly made change to your firewall. So for that, what you have to do is you have to go to the review and push tab. All right. So here, all of the changes that you have recorded are listed. This includes the changes made in the network object, service object, and the security rule. So all of that is listed over here. And to push them to the firewall, simply select them and you need to click on push button. So once you do that, you are required to enter the credentials of the firewall for which you want to push this, the credentials of the firewall for which you want to push this change. All right, so that's a big password. I apologize for that. So once you're done with that, you simply hit validate, and Firewall Analyzer will check if the credentials that you have entered are valid. So this is another level of security that we have implemented to prevent unauthorized people from making changes to your firewall. So once that is done, all you have to do is hit push. And this step is in progress. So once you have clicked on push and it gets pushed, we have another option to verify before this change gets pushed to the firewall. So what it does is the changes that you have requested will be pushed to the commit section. See, we have it here. Right. So this is the new change that we have just made. All right, it's over here. So this is, again, for security purposes, another filter following which you have to bypass to make sure that your changes are pushed to the firewall. So here, in case you are not happy with the change that you have proposed or would like to review them, simply click on view difference and you can see any of the changes in a color code. So any new change will be highlighted in green. Any change that has been made to the existing instruction will be in purple. If you have deleted any instruction, it will be in red, in pink. So all of that can be viewed over here. And in case you're not happy and you want to make some more changes to the new rule, you can simply hit the revert option and click on add. You can see that from the commit, it has been pushed back to the network object section. This is over here. So once again, to make changes, you'll have to follow the same steps of pushing it to review and push, and then to the commit section. So following this, we have one more layer of security, that is the rule approval option. So this is nothing but an added layer of security which allows only your authorized personnel to push the changes to firewall. Meaning, if there is a firewall admin who's not given this access, he or she will not be able to push the changes to the commit section. They'll only be able to place a request, and which will be forwarded to the concerned admin or to the super admin, who can make sure or they can choose whether or not to approve such requests. So this dashboard gives you a list of all the requests that has been raised, the ones that are pending, ones that are approved, and also the rejected rules. So here you can view all of these information. So this is visible only for the super admin, so that at one single glance they'll understand all of the changes that are that have been made on their firewall analysis, on their firewall device. So the next feature we're going to look at is rule comparison of Firewall Analyzer. So using this feature, Jim can easily pinpoint the changes that are made to the rule configuration, and that is, he can compare two configuration files, or he can even compare a configuration file and a latest configuration, or he can even compare two running configuration versions. So by using this feature, Jim can clearly identify all the changes that are made to the firewall rules across various configuration versions. So this feature lets you to compare two different configurations, and let's say that you want to make a new configuration update, but before you push it to live, you want to compare it with an existing configuration. Instead of doing this manually, with Firewall Analyzer, you will get a list of all the difference or common changes comparing the existing rule set with the existing configuration with the old one. So let us look at how this looks like in the product UI. For that, I'm taking you back to the product, and under rule management, you go to comparison. All right. So for the sake of demonstration, I'm going to compare a configuration file with the latest running config. And the latest running configuration of FortiGate1 is what I'm going to compare my file with. So this is a file that I prepared for the purpose of demonstration. I'm going to hit compare. So once the results are out, you can see that the purple ones are the ones that are the modified changes. The pink ones are the ones that are deleted changes. So in case I've added any new change, that will be highlighted in green. So to view this in detail, simply click this button over here, and you will get more information about the particular change. All right. So next we're going to look at yet another feature of rule management, which is the rule expiry notification. So as a rule management best practice, most security admins set expiration dates for their firewall rules. After expiring, firewall rules need to be rectified and reactivated again. However, as most organizations have hundreds of rules and multiple security admins working on these rules, it becomes nearly impossible to review the expired rules and rectify them manually. Firewall Analyzer's expiry notification feature can help the security admins to track the status of the firewall rules and get notified as and when the rules are expired. So this helps you to get visibility on the scheduled rules, the active rules, upcoming rules, expired rules, and also the recurring rules. So let me quickly take you to the product to show that to you in working. So for this, simply choose the expiry rules over here. And here you can see all of the firewall rules for which any kind of schedule has been set. And over here, you can see the active firewall rules that are present. And by using the security admins can also track the specific active rules and get notified in case any active rule expires. And then you have upcoming rules, which catalogs all the rules that are scheduled to turn active in the future. And then you have expired rules, that is the rules that are expired will be recorded over here. And then you have recurring rules where you can see all the rules that are reactivated and certified on a regular basis. So all the given reports can be scheduled on a periodic basis and can be sent via email. So to do that, simply click the scheduled report, click on add and enter the report type, report name, and the mailing address. Once you're done with that, simply hit save and your report will be scheduled. So following the expiry notification, we have one more feature, that is risk. This is a newly launched feature of Firewall Analyzer and is available from the latest version 12.7 onwards. So ManageEngine Firewall Analyzer has introduced this feature to simplify and help you to prioritize and manage all the existing rules. So it helps in listing rules based on the severity and in identifying weak firewall policy misconfigurations and in limiting security incidents. So with the introduction of the risk feature, Firewall Analyzer will help you to monitor the rules that are currently active on one or all of your firewall devices. And coupled with the impact analysis feature, which helps you to check the impact of a new rule before it is pushed to your firewall devices, Firewall Analyzer will help you to comprehensively monitor and manage all of your firewall rules before creating them, and also the ones that are currently live. All right, so moving back to the risk feature. So this feature is for the current firewall rules, and over here you have the summary section, which gives you an overall information about your firewall devices risky rules that is present over here. So this is an overview. You can get the similar data in the form of graph. So following this, we have two more sections under this, which is show by rule and show by risk. So show by rule, this page contains all the risky rules data along with the associated risk level count. So for example, let's say this rule number 21, it has been categorized under 4 different risks based on the severity. Red denotes critical, orange denotes high, the yellow denotes medium, and green denotes low. So to understand more of that, I simply have to click on them and you'll get more information on that. All right. So next, after show by rule, we have the show by risk, which is again a different way of analyzing all the risks that are present in your existing rule set. So what we've done here is we've taken the risk ID as priority, and based on its criticality level, we show how many different rules that are associated with this risk ID. So for example, this risk ID C01, which is a critical level risk, has been identified to be listed in over 3 different rules. So this rule number 21, 24, and 25, all of these qualify for this C01 risk. So you can view them over here and make the necessary adjustments to ensure that your security remains pristine. And in case you do not want any rule to be marked over here every time you run this risk feature, you can simply select that and choose the mark as false positive option and go over to the excluded rules. And here you can see the rules that will be ignored the next time you want to run this risk feature. So now that Jim has reviewed all the rules and made necessary changes in his firewall rules, let us look at the second task that he's been assigned with, which is to monitor and record the changes that are made to firewall configuration. So one of the employees in Jim's team has left the company, and it is suspected that he did some damage to the firewall's configuration. And this has so far gone unnoticed, and the company has not been able to identify the exact specifics of the changes that are made. The company is very keen on avoiding this in the future, and they've asked Jim to monitor and record all the changes that are made to the firewall. Also, they've asked him to save the latest configuration so that in case it is tampered upon in the future, Jim can simply revert it and ensure there is no major issues that arise out of this. So let me take you back to the, before we go to the product to view this, let's see how Jim uses Firewall Analyzer's change management report and configuration backup report to solve this issue. So as mentioned before, the changes made to the firewall configuration, let's say by the unknown, malicious user James, has gone unnoticed. However, with Firewall Analyzer, any and all changes made to the firewall device will be recorded in the tool. Firewall Analyzer does not only track who made the change, but also when it was done, what was changed. And let me quickly take you to the product to show you how we track changes by using Firewall Analyzer. So for that, going back to the product, I'm going to use my demo setup for this demonstration. So to go to the change management, simply go to compliance and click the change management option. Right, let's give it a few seconds. Excuse me, my bad. So the tool that I'm using for this demonstration is demo.fwanalyzer.com. So this is an online tool that is available for everyone free of cost. So all you have to do is simply log into this URL. We don't need your name, email address, or anything else. You don't have to sign up. Simply just go to demo.fwanalyzer.com and check out all of the features that I have just described. And in case you find any of the feature exciting or interesting and would like to know more about it, please feel free to reach out to our panelists who are present in waiting and can answer any of your questions that are arising with regard to Firewall Analyzer. All right, so let me use my local setup for this purpose. Right, let me have this data for 30 days. All right, so here we have it. So this is a change management report, and I have generated that for my FortiGate 1 firewall. And here you can see that there are, if there is any change that has been made by a particular person, you can see their name will be listed over here. And here you can see the changes that they have made, the version number, the change count, and also the change type that has been made. All right, so to view the changes in detail, simply click on the little icon that is present next to the change. All right, so over here you can see the change, in-depth information of the change that has been made. So purple, as you know, denotes the modifications that are made to the configuration. So here you can simply scroll down and see all of those informations. And we have different color codes for different changes. So green denotes new additions, pink denotes deletions. So you get that information as well. And in case you want to download this, you can simply click the email to get this report sent out to you in the form of an email, or to send it to you in the form of a PDF, simply hit on the PDF give it a few seconds, and voila, you have it over here as well. So you want to get this scheduled on a repetitive basis, you can do that as well. So for this, you simply have to hit the schedule option, enter your email address and enter the format in which you want the report, and choose when you want this and hit save, and according to the schedule, this report will be sent to your email routinely. All right, so next we're going to look at the configuration backup feature. So with this feature, excuse me. So with this feature, Jim can easily schedule automated config backups, and hence any erroneous modifications that are made to his current configuration version, which is either due to an attack or due to a network disaster, can be averted by simply backing up to a saved previous version. So let us look at this feature in the product UI. So for that, going back to compliance, simply go to configuration backup. And over here, you can see that I have a couple of configurations scheduled already. So in case you do not want configuration schedule to happen, simply can turn it off. So to create a new schedule, simply hit add backup schedule, give this schedule a name, use your firewall device, and choose the date in which you want to have this executed. So I'm just choosing one randomly, and in case you want to be notified about this, you can choose that over here, or you want to have the configuration file sent to you over email, you can choose that option over here and hit save, and you get the new report saved over here. All right, so with this, Jim has successfully completed his second task. So moving on to the next use case that Jim is assigned with. So Jim's company needs to be compliant with multiple security standards, but they are failing with a lot of them. So this has affected them so much that they have started losing customers as their compliance is not up to date. The Jim has been assigned a task to submit a detailed compliance report and a security audit report. Let's look at how Firewall Analyzer helps Jim to solve this issue. Firewall Analyzer provides out-of-the-box compliance standard reports, which include SANS, PCI DSS, NIST, ISO, NERC, etc., and several others. So this helps you to periodically check for compliance and also lets you to assess your firewall security. So let me take you to the product to show that to you in detail. So to view that, simply go to compliance and click standards. And for this demonstration, I'm going to choose a different firewall device, that is the Palo Alto firewall device. And as you can see, this given firewall device is not compliant with a lot of security mandates. So to understand more about any of these security mandates, simply click on them and you'll be taken to the specific mandate and the respective window. So let's say that Jim is working in a card-based company which deals with a lot of financial transactions. And hence, it is mandatory that they stay compliant with the PCI DSS compliance mandate. So as you can see, the firewall device Palo Alto is not compliant with the PCI DSS security mandate. And here it shows you the percentage of compliance that you have compliant with, that is ones that you have passed. And to get to know more, simply scroll down. Here you can see that the green tick mark denotes the sections that you have passed. The star denotes the sections that need manual intervention, and the red cross denotes the sections that you have failed. So for this demonstration, let's take an example of a failed section. Simply click on that. And here you can see the reason, a small analysis about what this particular issue is. And here you can see the details of the said issue. And if you scroll down, Firewall Analyzer also gives you a recommendation on what needs to be done to give you a chance of clearing this particular issue from fail to pass. All right, so this is available for all of the security mandates by default and out of the box. So all you have to do is simply go to the compliance and choose your respective firewall and choose the mandate for which you want to get the compliance mandate reports. All right, so next we're going to look at the security audit report. So this report of Firewall Analyzer helps you to identify the configuration loopholes in your firewall. So it lists the security events based on criticality, which is critical, high, medium, low, and info. So it provides a detailed findings, which is findings including what is the impact of the issue on your network, and also suggests solutions that can thus help you to prevent the security events. So taking you back to the product, to view the security audit reports, simply choose security audit and choose the firewall device for which you want this report to be generated. And if you scroll down, you can see that for this particular firewall, the security audit has identified 1 critical rated issue, 4 high issues, 4 medium rated issues, 5 low, 7 information related issues. So to understand why a particular issue has been rated as critical for this firewall, simply scroll down, and here you can see the critical rated issue at the top of the list. And here you can see a small analysis provided by Firewall Analyzer on what is this particular issue. And here you can see the components of this particular issue. And here you get the result of this particular issue. And in addition to that, you also get a series of suggestions that you can follow to make sure that this particular issue is resolved from its critical and is removed from any of the issue ratings. All right, so thus having completed this task, Jim is now finished all of the 3 tasks that are assigned to him. So to summarize what we have seen in today's session, Firewall Analyzer is a policy and configuration management tool. It helps you to identify the policy anomalies, including unused rules and objects, and lets you to perform in-depth impact analysis and helps in pushing the policy changes directly onto the firewall. It also plays a critical role in optimizing your firewall performance. It provides out-of-the-box compliance reports for SANS, PCI DSS, NIST, ISO NERC, and several other compliance mandates. It also helps to monitor your configuration changes and also helps in scheduling the configuration backups. Finally, Firewall Analyzer supports all major firewall devices. And in case you want to know the list of devices that we support, the list is available online. Simply Google Firewall Analyzer supported firewall devices and you will get the first search result is what you're looking for. Or if you want me to share that with you, I can do it via the email that I'll be sending along with the recording of this session. All right, so listed here is the basic installation requirements. So Firewall Analyzer can be installed in a Windows or a Linux system, and all the syslogs that are received by Firewall Analyzer is by default stored in the Postgres database. So if you need, you can configure the syslogs to be stored in an MS SQL database as well. The disk space and the RAM size mentioned here are the minimum requirements, and this might vary based on the number of devices that are being analyzed and the number of devices sending log information to Firewall Analyzer. So here on the screen, you can see the prerequisites, prerequisite port that needs to be free, and the respective protocols that will be used to access Firewall Analyzer. So this is the most important port, that is 1514, which is the default listening ports. And this is the port for which your firewall devices need to send their syslogs for Firewall Analyzer to analyze and add them to the device row. All right, next we have technological partnership with Checkpoint, Palo Alto, and WatchGuard at the moment, and we are actively working to expand this list. And we support more than 50 firewall vendors and around 200 devices. And Firewall Analyzer provides rule management support for the given list of firewall. So this list is again available on our website. You can Google that, or you can simply click on this particular link from the presentation that I'll be sharing with you post this session. So in the next week, we have a lot more exciting topics to cover, which is scheduled on 22nd of August. So on August 22nd, we'll be discussing how to set real-time alarm notifications in Firewall Analyzer and how to get an understanding of the practical applications on how to secure your network by analyzing all the syslog reports that are generated by Firewall Analyzer. And finally, we'll also be touching on the VPN monitoring reports and how that can be used to simplify your VPN monitoring efforts. And we look at user-based access control. And finally, we'll also be looking at the options on how to derive forensic log analysis and how that can benefit you. So do not forget to join us next week for detailed information on all of these topics. So next we have a couple of FAQs, that is frequently asked questions, in most of the webinars. So I've taken the privilege of adding that to the presentation today. So the first question we have is, let's say that I've pushed a change using rule administration feature. Is it possible to revert this change If so, how? So I'll quickly take you to the product UI to show you and make this explanation simpler. So for this, you go to rule management and go to administration and choose the particular firewall device for which you want to revert the change. So on the commit section, as I mentioned before, I showed you a demonstration of how I pushed the particular network object, service object, or security rule till the commit section. So in case, let's say that the rule that I pushed, I find an error and I find that it is something that I have to revert immediately. You can simply do that by a simple click by using the revert object click here. So simply click on this and click the add option. So from the commit section, it's immediately moved on to the local object section of the network objects where the change has been initiated from. So from here, to push this change back to the firewall analyzer, you'll have to go through the review and push section, the rule approval section, and also the commit section. All right, so next question we have is, so I'm a managed security service provider, MSSP. How can I generate security audit reports and compliance reports for my clients without asking for their syslogs? So for this very purpose, we have developed the add device manually option that is present under settings, discovery, add firewall. The third option is the add device manually option. So using this feature, you can directly add a firewall device to Firewall Analyzer for monitoring and generate security audit and compliance management reports. So the best part is this does not even require the firewalls to send to forward their syslogs to Firewall Analyzer. So with this feature, you can save a lot of time that you can spend on other activities. Being an MSSP, it's it's a little taxing to monitor all the firewalls of your devices, and this is one feature that will help you to only monitor the necessary information, thereby discarding the ones that are not needed. And in case you want to monitor the rule management and complaints report, simply use this checkbox, fill in the required information, and go ahead with monitoring that as well. All right, so if you need more information or help on the product, kindly visit our help page. Or if you have any questions, you can post them on the Pitstop forum. This is a common forum where our technicians frequently interact with any questions that are posted over there. And if you want to write to us, we are available at fwanalyzer-support@manageengine.com. And if you want to ring us, you can use the dial using the number that is displayed on the screen. You are an existing prospect or you would like to leave us a review of your experience using the product, please feel free to raise your reviews on the Captera tool. And once you're done with that, Captera website, and once you're done with that, you can let us know by using the link that I have shared in the chat section. So by using that, if you let us know about the review that you have shared, we'll give you a $25 gift card for your efforts. So thank you very much for that. And following that, we have a couple of ebooks that are present on our website that is free of charge, which is over here. You can simply log in. You can simply go to manageengine.com/firewall/ebooks. That is, simply Google Firewall Analyzer ebooks, and the first search result you get will contain all of the ebooks. And if you want, I will also, if you can wait, I will be sending all of the links to download the ebooks along with the email containing the recording post this session. So with respect to customer security and customer data security, we from ManageEngine can assure you that we take customer security as a top priority, and we make sure that it stays protected at all costs. So if you want to know more about VPN management and also want to collect the following collaterals, please do not forget to join our next session. And in case you can't wait, these are also present on our website under the ebook section, and you will get it along with the email that I'll be sending to you. So thank you for joining us today. I hope this session was useful, and I hope you learned a thing or two about the features of Firewall Analyzer and how it can help you to optimize your firewalls.